I got it. I got it. Okay. So the third question is scripted or not. And I'm curious, with your interview episodes and on your solo episodes, how do you think of scripting? Do you write out questions ahead of time? Do you talk about it? Do you write out the verbatim, everything that you're going to say? And this comes because it sounded like you kind of were mentioning that you just kind of go from the feel of it. And so I was assuming you don't do scripted, but I'm curious to get your answer.
I have actually over my years, I have tried all of those. I've never done completely scripted, but I've done heavily scripted. And I don't like heavily scripted as much. It just doesn't sound, to me, it doesn't give off what I want for the avatar. I want it to be more conversational. I want it to be more like we're sitting across a table, having a conversation. And so the closest I would come on solo is I'll do sort of an outline. It's like, hey, I want to talk about A, B, C, and D. These are the things I want to talk about. And then I'll talk about them. Interview is sort of the same. Whenever I have an interviewee, I'll look into, because I don't know that much about them. Even if there's somebody that I know very well, I'm bringing them on with something that we haven't spent as much time talking about. And I will research that area and get some, essentially some like highlights, some things like, oh, this would be cool to talk about. That'll be cool to talk about. But then I get them, they give an introduction in their own words. And then I usually will just launch off of that. And if, I've got my directions I want to go, but sometimes I've had a couple of times that I had like a list of 5 to 10 things I want to talk about, touched none of them because the introduction got me going in a different direction that actually ended up being, I thought, even a better way for us to go for the conversation.
Cool. Like that. Last question for the listener. Best advice that you have for a brand new podcaster?
So it'll be a couple of little points. One you already hit is regular clockwork. Is like, it's just like you go to the 5 o'clock news at 5 o'clock every night. A podcast, you should do that. I mean, it doesn't have to be 5 o'clock every night, but you should have a release time. It's a very regular. People talk about how frequent. I'm a big fan of at least once a week, and then you hit your time every time. I think 2 or 3 times a week is probably better. Spend a little bit of money and get decent mic, decent headphones. Spend some time just recording yourself and getting to know the tools. Or if you're going to, like, out of the box, use an editor of some sort, work with them so that you can get at least that intro podcaster thing off get that off your plate, get that done. So you know how to sit down, how to record, how to do the basic editing that you need to, because you're going to need that to build out first, build a backlog of episodes. So when you launch, do not launch with like 3 episodes. You should launch with enough so that you can go quite a while before, like I said, probably you should go launch with 4 to 6 weeks at least so that you can go. And if you get sick or you're in a car accident or life occurs and you lose 2 weeks, you're okay because you still have a couple more weeks and you can catch back up.